Beena, we be live. We're live, Beena.
Yes. Hello and welcome. This is Friday, and we are going to have off tomorrow. But today, we already have, before even starting, we have so many things on our agendas to discuss. Today's agenda is we have a list. We have a list of topics which Syl actually asked me to remember and remind him. The first one is going against the universe's intent, I guess, or universe, going against the universe. This is something you said, and I asked Syl to elaborate a bit more about covert, the word covert, and why people
covered.
Covered, okay, covered, and why people do this, and how we can protect ourselves from these type of energies, because these are also intent, and people have some malintents. They just do. They I don't know how and why. The reason could be anything, but how we can protect ourselves, and that was a question I was asking Syl yesterday. And they were okay. There was something more. We are going to just give Syl directly just time to straight away start sharing these things, because I don't want to wait until Monday, because tomorrow we will have off, Sunday we will do the capital R reading, and only Monday we can get a chance to discuss these things. I want him to start sharing these topics right away.
Right, we will in a moment.
And I assume Norma is there. Hello, Norma. Hello.
I don't think so just yet. I was about to send her the link. Let me do that real quickly. I'm just a tad behind here. Where are you, Norma? Where are you? There we go. All right, there we go. Yes. Beena, there was a specific thing that I asked to say to remind me to do. What was the very specific one? I don't remember now.
That was the one.
Which
going
one?
Against the universe. It was
the gifts of the universe.
Sorry?
Yeah. Oh, but I said something else about that.
Because it was about receiving gifts from the universe, and being really respectful towards that. This is what we were discussing, and then you shared something that okay, it is actually going against the universe. How can you go against the universe?
Yeah, but there was a more specific connection there a point that I wanted to make, to say from one end to the other end. And to connect it. You don't remember?
No, I don't remember that. If we have something like this. Anyway, we can still continue.
Yeah, well, I'll do in a moment. Let me just finish the sharing and the connecting here. This receiving gifts from the universe, of course, it's a big deal, and I guess the point I wanted to make is we should remember the specifics, because I'm not exactly the precise point. It was a very precise point. Yeah, you got the overall, but that exact, I was going to say, I was going to connect this to that and fill in the in-between, right? Remember? No?
Yes. Oh, yes, you said that. Oh, okay. I need to remember now. It was intent and the focus of attention we were discussing, that focused attention and intent. And then you shared something, and after that you said, so how it is going to connect? But I'm going to connect it, and I will share the connection.
No. It was so about, it's okay. The key point about it was, it's all right. When we receive a gift from the universe, The point I was making is, why not to, we emphasize this already, that you cannot refuse this, right? You can't.
Yes.
Yeah, to not open a gift from the universe, not use the gift from the universe. This is like a crime against yourself. Yes. You might not
Yes.
realize it, because the gifts from the universe, they they transcend time, and they get you to do things that are good for you, but not always necessarily nice for you. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So you can't always see the logic and the value of these gifts, but it is absolutely critical to do this. Now we say, but why would somebody refuse a gift? Because they don't
Yes.
see that, they don't understand that these gifts have a moreness to them, and they don't realize that they are coming from the universe, etc. All right. In that case, we can still say, okay, you know, I understand why you didn't take it. But if you do know it's coming from the universe, the only reason not to take it is fear, doubt, lack of self-confidence, stuff like that, right? In other words, not good reasons. Yeah. We have to. Now, you might say, but wait a second, you know, yeah, it seems like this and that, but how do I know it's going to work out? This is the point I wanted to connect to. That if we don't accept a gift from the universe, we might as well be saying, universe, I don't trust you. Yes? Makes sense, Beena?
Yes.
Now, why is it that we're not trusting, right? Because we don't see the perfection of the universe. That's the point I wanted to connect. Yeah. To go all the way from not accepting to understanding the perfection of the universe. Right? It's, yeah, it's
Hmm.
perfect as a school, as a mechanism for development and enhancement of awareness. It's not perfect as a pleasure palace or that. No, it's perfect as a school. It's an ideal school. And when you really go and you zoom out, you see the layers, you see the complexity, you begin to see and understand, holy moly, this is an incredible thing. An incredible, the universe is so awesome, it's so profound, it's so magical. How can I not ever trust this? How could I ever think anything other and otherwise that the universe is just awesome and profound? So from accepting the gifts, we accept them because we've come to see and understand and know that everything in the universe is just wonderful and awesome as a mechanism for the enhancement and development of awareness. Yeah. Not awesome and for everything being, you know, the way we'd like to see it. It's what's needed, not what we want. Yeah. Little different. That makes sense, Beena?
Yes. Yes.
What was the other point,
Very
the
good.
other note that you made?
I was just like, okay, how to actually uh, not get affected by other people's malintents or bad intents
Oh,
when
that's harder.
they covered.
Yeah,
Yes, when they
that's
covered.
very,
That
yeah.
is the word.
When they covet, yeah. You
Yes.
can think of that O as a U, actually. It's almost like, yeah,
Okay.
covet. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. That's a tricky one, Beena. That not being affected
Mm.
by the moods and energies of others. This is very difficult because we are so considerate. And, you know, like when we do
Mm.
things out of consideration for others, it becomes very difficult when others are negative towards us or unhappy or not negative towards us. That's usually an ego thing. But when our behavior is got, it sometimes we have nothing to do with theirs. They're just feeling grumpy and miserable, right? And we now see this and notice this, and we're like, man, you feel for them, you feel with them, right? And this becomes very tricky not to take on those emotions. And this the remedy is, well, first remedy is independence of being. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
That's the key. When we have independence of being, you can be feeling upset and sorrowful and sad, and I can see that, understand that, have compassion, and not feel it, because my feelings are my own. I choose my feelings, and I can, in that circumstance, choose how to connect and interact with you. Yes,
Hmm.
because I have independence of being. And to realize that when it comes to moods, to commiserate is not to be helpful generally, right?
Ah.
And that's usually when we're being affected by the moods of others, is when we are commiserating. Now, commiserating is usually the sharing of a negative mood. But if we're in the habit
Hmm.
of also taking on positive moods, we get into the habit of taking on moods, and we aren't able to really discern between them. We take on any mood, whatever it is, because we're just used to taking on other people's moods. And this is simply a habit that we've acquired as children. This was sort of useful to do, right? And it was
Hmm.
somewhat asked of us to do this. But as we develop independence of being, we realize, no, this is not a good idea, right? Even if the moods are positive, I don't wish to be influenced. I need to be receptive when it comes to moods, capital R, receptive. Now, can you explain to me, please, Beena, what receptivity is, and share it in the context of how it would apply to moods? The receptivity of Sophie, in other words. Yeah.
Yes.
Capital
Okay.
R.
This
How
is
would it
something
apply to moods?
actually. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for bringing this,
Hmm.
because uh, I never they never think of something like this before, because I must accept, confess, confession time,
Hmm.
that when you're being receptive, you do get receptive towards other people's mood, and especially
Exactly.
when there is a trust built
Yeah.
already there in your interaction,
Exactly.
in your communication with that person.
Exactly.
If you have that, and then you get affected by that, and it's like kind of like we
Yeah.
accept it. It's not like completely not deliberate. We do accept this because I want to get more connected with that person or with that situation or perspective, whatever it is. If there is a trust factor involved there, then it becomes like, yes, but because I want to, because I like to, that's why. And if it is happening, it is out of love, it is out of care, it is out of respect. Reasons could be anything, but we kind of subconsciously allow this to get affected by their moods, because this is we share things, and it becomes like, yes, I do allow. I don't like to, but still it happens. And it's a kind of like an adjustment we make for people, or for the perspective or the situation we like to be with. Yes, in the situation. But just come back to the receptivity. This is the understanding, and this is, of course, this understanding also came via way of impeccability to me. That receptivity is something, yes, I was doing that, but not in this articulate way before. I was receptive before. That's how I started this way of impeccability. Otherwise, it would not be possible
Yes.
if I would not be
Exactly. You
receptive.
were. You were. You were
Yeah,
very,
I
very.
was
Yeah.
receptive. Yes, but
Oh.
I was not able to actually deliberately articulate and emphasis and choose it. It was,
Hmm.
it was for me, it was my nature. And of course, it is beneficial, but when things are not deliberate, uh,
Yeah.
they are always a possibility to get involved into things or get affected by
e-
things which you don't like.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. When it's
receptivity for
not
me
deliberate.
is, yeah, yes, so a receptivity for me is to receive and accept things as they all make sense.
Hmm.
It is first thing. This is the first thing, that whatever the situation is bringing or becoming, or that perspective other person is sharing, or whatever they are sharing, even if it is not a perspective, it is just their personal thoughts. Or it makes sense. It might not make sense to me, but it makes sense in a larger, of course, in an abstract way, and also for that person. It makes sense. That is the first thing, very first thing, whatever that person is sharing. When we say that it makes sense, automatically it jumps to that, yes, if it makes sense, then it is valuable enough to to focus my attention to it. This is the
Yeah.
second step towards that receptivity. It happens
Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
Once we
Yeah.
accept and acknowledge that whatever the
Yeah.
person or situation is bringing to me, it makes sense, then of course, if it makes sense and it is coming to me or in my consciousness, in my awareness, then I need to pay attention. It happens. Second,
Yeah.
and when we pay
Yeah.
attention, then actually we accepted, by implication, we accepted that now it makes sense to me also.
Yeah.
When we accept that, then it means that, okay, now it makes sense. I might not understanding right now that how and what it makes sense, but it makes sense and we trust that situation, that person, that perspective.
Right. And then
But,
we think, okay.
and then the third and the final and the most important part. Yes, it makes sense. Yes, I also accept and acknowledge that it makes sense to me. How, when, how, all the details, of course, will come later. But I'm accepting it to understand it. For the purpose of understanding, it makes sense that, okay,
Exactly.
yes, whatever this person is saying, that I'm not able to understand it completely, but I believe I'm
Right.
choosing it, that yes, it makes sense. And when I do that, then it is the biggest responsibility for the receptive person that yes, it makes sense, but I'm not going to allow it to influence me if I don't want to.
Mm.
It
Mm.
is just coming into the buffer zone of my being,
Right.
not getting into the real core operating system or my, or yes, in the system, but it is just setting in between. I'm just allowing it to set, and then I will choose. Then I will choose to get influenced by that. If I choose, if I not, that it's okay, no problem.
Right.
Things can go
Right.
like, okay, yes, we can have an umbrella, as Syl was using the analogy. The rain can be like really wild, but if you have an umbrella or you have a shade, then it is not going to affect you. Still, you can enjoy
Right.
the rain.
Yes.
Still, you can be
Exactly.
out there, but still, you will not get affected,
Exactly.
negatively affected by.
You're in it,
So
but
there's
not affected by it. Exactly.
yes, and we can enjoy it. We can have a raincoat, we can
No.
have an umbrella, we can have a shade, anything, and then still we can enjoy the rain, but but without getting affected by rain
Yes.
negatively. If we want
Yes.
to, then it's a different thing. It's a very deliberate
Yes.
gesture. It's a very deliberate gesture.
Right.
This
Right.
whole receptivity concept.
Right.
Now, what you said. Yes, sorry.
Right. Let's just go back real quick to receptivity. All right. I got a
Yes.
neighbor. I got a new neighbor busy moving in across the way, Beena. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. This receptivity, you said first step with receptivity is to insist it makes sense. Right.
Yes.
Now, that making sense is for the purpose of understanding. When we're receptive, we
Yes.
want to understand. But the problem with understanding is we tend to understand relative to our already existing understanding. Therefore, if something is outside of what we already understand, we don't understand it by definition, right? And therefore, we look at it, oh, it doesn't, we don't, I don't get it, I don't understand it. And we tend to associate not understanding with not making sense. Those two tend to go together. But are they? No, they're two very different things, correct? If I
Mm.
don't understand, it doesn't imply that the thing itself doesn't make sense. But mostly in life, when people look at something and they don't understand, they say, oh, it doesn't make sense. Why are they saying it doesn't make sense? They're saying it doesn't make sense not because the thing does or doesn't make sense, but because they don't understand it. And therefore, it doesn't make sense to them. Very, very different point. Yes. And we wish to
Yeah.
avoid this trap in our sophistication. So we are saying, no, we are going to insist it makes sense first. And now we are going to say, I need to understand how it makes sense. Not whether or not it does, but how. This is my receptivity in this case. Yes, yours, right? Ours,
Yes.
new
Yes.
nobility, right?
Yes.
This is a
Yes.
very different.
Of
Now you
course.
have a very different agenda, right? Capital A agenda, or purpose, or motivation, or focus, attention. You're not focusing on understanding it. You're focusing on understanding how it makes sense, which is a different thing, right?
Yes.
Now you
Yes.
reverse engineer to see, oh, I see how it makes sense.
Exactly.
Now at least it may turn out, it may turn out that the thing actually in the end doesn't make sense. It's possible, right? But because you assumed that it does, or insisted, not even assumed, insisted that it does, you are going to give it every possible chance of making sense. And your honesty in the end, your
Yes.
thoroughness, your impeccability, you're going to say, look, I'm sorry. I started off just taking for granted it makes sense, but as I work it through, no, can't. Okay, here's a problem here. All right, there you go. Like for instance, if we come across some alien technology, you got to reverse engineer it to figure out what it works. Now, if you don't assume and insist that that technology actually works, then what's the point of reverse engineering it? But it could just happen to be that you come across a piece of alien technology that's defective. It still works, but it's defective in some way, right? It's like, all right,
Yes.
look at eBay or Facebook. I mean, Facebook has a lot of little bugs and problems in it. Doesn't always work right. An alien may come and say, well, I've got to assume this thing makes sense. Billions of people use it. And they reverse engineer and say, but you know what, Facebook, we really went through all this, but you got this. Yeah, Facebook says, yeah, we know. Okay. We didn't know how to solve it. Right. In other words, but there are times when you assume it makes sense and it might not necessarily, or not fully and completely. Right. So this is just a key little
Yeah.
side benefit. But the key is we get to see in for the most part, we actually get to see how things make sense or understand things which are outside of our understanding and conception now. If we don't insist it makes sense, we cannot actually see how it makes sense because it's new to us, and we get stuck
Yes.
on that point, and this makes us blind to the new, the unusual, the different paradigms, the unconventional, etc. Right? This is very, very
Yes.
key. This is very, very key. And so this insisting it makes
Yes.
sense is so that we can see how, not whether, just to understand it or not, right? That's not the issue with receptivity.
Yes.
It's not either or,
Yes.
understanding, not understanding. No, it's just, it makes sense. And through that, I'm going to understand in the story. And through that, I've
Yes.
opened my brain to more. I've opened my brain to more. All right. Now,
Yes.
to get back
E-
to this point
Exactly.
now.
Just want to add one thing.
Oh,
Just want
please,
to add
please,
one
please,
thing
please,
that
please.
as you mentioned there, that how it makes sense, and this is what we do actually apply reverse engineering to
Mm.
make it sensible for us, to make it sense for us. This is very interesting because we do that. We all do that when it comes to art. Mostly art doesn't make any sense to us on surface,
Right,
but keep
right.
insisting on that. Yes, it does make sense. How it makes sense, and then we do the reverse engineering, and we just go there and try to explore it more and more, and try
Exactly.
to connect with the intent and try to connect with every other in
Exactly.
there, because there is no threat involved. That's why we are openly receptive towards art. It
Yeah,
is not going to
yeah,
challenge us. It is not going to bring some consequences, at least not on surface. That's why we are receptive.
yeah,
But when it comes to be receptive towards new understanding, we assume that it is going to affect us. That's why we get back into our shell. We don't want to be open. We don't want to make ourselves vulnerable. It's a lack of self trust. If you are not allowing a newness to come, it's a lack of self trust right there. We need to go back and build our self-trust. Because
Wow.
when you can be open about, you can be, we can, of course, and we all are receptive towards that. Just try to understand that if that thing that it makes sense was not existing, this receptivity was not existing in this world, how all these remarkably amazing inventions would not be there in this
Exactly.
world.
Exactly.
They just get this idea,
Yeah.
and then they start with insisting on that it does make sense and it is possible, and then of course they do the reverse engineering. First, the
Yeah.
idea needs to be accepted and acknowledged as that it does make sense, it is
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
no matter how wild it is. Like, yes, it was
Exactly.
wild idea, humans to fly.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was the wildest
Right.
idea. If you
Yeah.
can, if you just go back in that time and think about it, it would be
Yeah.
like a miracle.
Yeah.
But people just accept it and they become
Yeah.
receptive to that. Yes, it makes sense, it is possible. And then they do the
Yeah.
reverse engineering. That yes, now we are going to from this. And
Yeah.
by the way, I got your exact words, what you were saying that yesterday.
Oh, where?
So converting is going against the universe.
Coveting.
Coveting. Okay. Coveting is going
Yeah.
against the universe.
Ah. That was the point. That was the point. Yes. 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 One moment. Hold that. Hold that. We'll come back to it in a moment.
No problem. Now I have it.
Right. That was the point. That was the exact one. That was it. Yes. I knew we were missing something. Yes. All right. I wanted to make this point about openness. If we don't assume things make sense, we sometimes cannot see them. Yeah. We cannot
Yes.
understand it. We're not open. We become closed. Right. Uh, I can't find the example here now, but I had it once upon a time. I don't have time to do the research. But say I go along
Mhm.
to the local city council and I say, you know what, city council, there on the main road, there's this major intersection there. And, you sit and wait for ages at the traffic lights. And, it's very slow to get through that intersection and it blocks the whole traffic flow. Before I go this, can you see comments?
Okay, let me go there. I was just listening to you.
Very important comments. Very important comments.
Okay, let me go there.
Yeah, my screen was covered too. Um, So I
Okay.
didn't see it right away. You see the comments there? Two very important comments.
I'm just, yes, I'm just scrolling through.
In the comments of the live.
Yes, yes, this is where I'm
Oh,
going. It takes a bit time for me.
oh. This is important, so I'll wait. Very important. In the meantime.
Oh, yes. Okay. Hello, Norma.
Hello, Norma.
Hello,
Hello, hello,
Norma.
hello.
Hello,
Good
Norma.
morning to you, Norma. Good
Good
morning to
morning.
you.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. I love that you're here, Norma. Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. Now I'm talking about receptivity to ideas that because if we just look to understand it, we like, no, outside of our awareness. Yeah. So I go to the city council and say, look, you want to improve your traffic flow on that main intersection? They say, yes, how can we do this? And I say, I did it very cheaply. All right. Well, do we build an underpass, an overpass, flyovers? I say, no, just remove your traffic lights. Huh? Oh, come on. So what crackpot is this? Next. And you get lots of crackpots in city council meetings. I mean, like seriously, right? This is where they go and share their crackpot ideas because, of course, nobody else will listen to them. But when you go to a city council meeting and they open it to members of the community, you can bring your grievance or whatever. They have to listen to you. So the crackpots come and they have to be listened to. If you want to torture somebody, put on video feeds from city council meetings. Unbelievably torturous. I salute the people from the city councils that sit through that. Ah, unbelievable. Anyway, so I go to the city council and say, you want to improve your traffic flow? Yeah, very cheaply. Say, remove the traffic lights. And say, come on, this is not true. But then I'm prepared because I'm not a crackpot. And I take out my laptop and I hook up my portable monitor. It's nice and big. And I say, yeah, look at this. And I play the video. Now, I was looking for the videos. I had them before. I don't have access to them right now. Where places actually did this, right? And I say, yeah. And look at their statistics. City council in, small town, another country, whatever, wherever this was, right? And said, look, before traffic flow, after. Yes, it looks like a mess. It looks like chaos. But not only did they improve the traffic flow, but they also decreased the accidents. And one of the videos, the title was When Slow is Faster. Because everybody comes there and the traffic is, they stop and okay, you go, and then next go, and you wait and you see for a gap and you go. But everybody, when you come to that intersection, because you know there are no traffic lights, you come there slowly and you go through it slowly and then you speed up. But the traffic is always flowing. It doesn't really ever stop, right? Maybe a little bit here and there, but it's always flowing, right? And there's that time in between starting and waiting. It's more aggregated. So overall, it's much more efficient. Yes, much more efficient. And of course, when in the times when there's not heavy traffic, you come and there's a bit of a gap in the traffic. I slow down. Oh, nobody's coming. Zoom. I drive through. I don't have to stop. It's a yield, in other words. No, it goes against our logic. But my point is, it's about receptivity. Now, if that city council is open to new ideas, they listen to me and they let me continue. But if they're not receptive to saying, well, what he said makes sense, they're just automatically going to say, no, that doesn't make sense, and throw it out the window. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm saying in the real example, if I were to go there, I'll have proof of how it makes sense, because typically city councils aren't open to such stuff. But if they were, I wouldn't need to show them the proof, right? They would be listening and say, oh, and even when you do show them the proof, once somebody's made up their mind, it doesn't make sense. Sometimes they refuse to believe and see the proof. This happens. And even despite me showing them the facts and the statistics, they say, nah, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't matter that this video's lying. You can call up the city council, the proof, they're all lying. Just blows the mind, right? They become nonsensical. When you deny making sense, you stop being sensible. Yeah, that's a very big deal. Very big deal. It's a good example, though, of how being open lets you actually see what's going on and believe. If not, you just say, never mind your examples. That's no way that could work, right? And I know many people who would say that. Yeah, it's impossible. Taking that test just makes it worse. That's why we have the traffic lights in the first place, right? It's very interesting. It's very interesting. But on a busy intersection, people get trained on how to respond. And there are no stop signs, nothing. Right? It's just an intersection. So hey, now all the responsibility is on you. When people have the traffic lights to regulate, they trust. And then, of course, when somebody ignores it, that's where accidents happen and traffic jams, which happens. But when the responsibility is on you, well, I better pay attention, otherwise I'm going to get crashed into. Now it changes the whole dynamic. You get much more aware, attentive, responsible drivers. Just a side effect bonus of that. In other words, to get back to our point, I'm using this example to illustrate how when we are receptive, it doesn't mean we just listen to it. Capital R receptivity says, yes, we're going to pay attention. Why? Because we are going to leverage our brains to pay attention, because we're going to say, brain, this makes sense. Listen up. Oh, but brain says, how does it make sense? Not, is it, does it make sense, which is understanding? No, it says, how does it make sense? It's a very subtle shift, but it's a profound shift. One, your attention is saying, does it make sense or not, either or. And typically we're going to say not, because it's outside of our understanding. So, well, okay. But when we say we assume it makes sense, then we figure out how. And then we learn new things that we never knew before. Very, very powerful. All right. What was that point about coveting?
Going against the universe.
Oh, how coveting is actually going against the universe. Yeah. Yeah. All right. First of all, let's understand what coveting is. Right. I look over my neighbor's
Yes.
fence. Oh, my neighbor's got that new Prius, hybrid. All right. Prius is old now, but it was new. I don't know what the latest hybrid is or latest electrical vehicle. All right. Maybe Tesla or something. I don't care for Tesla much, but anyway, Tesla's much like, well, anyway, never mind. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, he's got this latest vehicle there. It's, man, I want that. I want that. I want that. Yeah, that's coveting. When I want what somebody else has, I covet it. And man, I wish I had it. And it's like, you sort of like resent them for having it, and all sorts of stuff goes with coveting. Yes. You want something that is not yours. Now, I said, I'm going to
Yes.
connect this to not trusting the universe, right?
Yes.
If I
Yes.
say to the
You
universe,
say going against the universe, not trusting. No.
going against the
Going
universe,
against.
right, which is the same thing. This is the same thing, right? That's why I'm putting it there. But yeah, going against the universe. When I covet, I am in essence saying, universe, you made a mistake. You ended up that guy getting the car, my neighbor, she's got the car, but I don't, right? And so you made a mistake, right?
Yes.
We're not saying to the universe, you made a mistake. And if I'm telling the
Hmm.
universe you made a mistake by coveting, in other words, that like I wanted it should be mine, in other words, yeah. The
Yes.
universe is saying you have what you have because this is what you have. This is what's right and appropriate for you. Doesn't mean you can get more things, but coveting is wanting what belongs to somebody else. When I have a desire or an ambition to say, man, I'd like to get a car like that, that's a different thing. I'm not coveting that. I'm just inspired by his choice, right? Now I go out and get it. But when I covet, I want what belongs to somebody else, not belongs to me. And the universe is saying,
Yes.
so you might as well be telling the universe, like, I don't trust you, universe. You gave it to him and your decision is wrong there. And everything is wrong. And the fact that I don't have it is wrong. I should have it. I should just get it. I no effort, nothing, whatever. All right, I should just get it, right? I'm saying to the
Yes.
universe that I'm looking at the way things have played out, and I'm saying that this is not the way it must be. I'm supposed to have that. I want that. It's me and not him, right? This is coveting. Coveting doesn't usually, when you covet, you want what they have, and and you want them not to have what you don't have, right? It works both ways. It's not just like, oh, I want it also. No, I want what you have. I want to essentially take it away from you. Yeah, if your coveting is fulfilled,
Yes.
which is like, wow, how is that not trusting the universe? Things are there, that's right. And saying, if you were supposed to have it, you would have it. Right? Well, or if you meant to get it, you'd have the motivation to go and get your own. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
right. I just used a physical example, Norma. It applies absolutely to coveting somebody's voice or their dance or their walk. When you want what somebody else has, and essentially by implication, you want to take it away from them, this is coveting. This is not trusting the universe. Hey, they've got a beautiful voice, you got a junkie voice. Trust the universe that you have a junkie voice for a good reason. Yes, like me. I love singing, but man, it's not fun. Yeah. I don't enjoy hearing myself singing. A lot of people, they do. They sing like crazy, and then other people hear them and like, oh, geez. But they sound wonderful to themselves. Yeah. I don't sound wonderful to myself, and I wish I did.
I don't sound wonderful to myself too, but I do
Yeah.
like to sing.
Right. Me too. And I do, but sometimes I'm like, man, it just like, this doesn't come out like all weird and croaky and wrong. Nonetheless, right, coveting, if I cover somebody else's voice, I'm saying, wow, universe, I should have had a nice voice. Why don't I have a nice voice? Because if I probably could sing really well, I'd be a raging narcissist musician on stage, and right, it would have taken me in a whole different path. I can
Mm.
clearly see how that could have gotten me into trouble. Furthermore, like even now with my accent, I need to practice enunciating. I need to practice more deliberate. I need to practice paying attention to my moods and energies in my voice. So there's been profound benefit from an awareness point of view of not having that. Yeah. Now, because I've practiced looking for these, how things make sense, and to me, the whole universe makes sense as a result of a lifetime of doing this, I can see all the connections all the way to the bigger picture. But typically we don't. And that's what I mean. When we covet, we're saying universe things should be different. In other words, coveting
Yes.
then is not trusting the universe. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when we
Yeah.
covet, Norma, when we covet, typically when I say I want what you have, in that mood of the typical covet person, they don't just say I want what you have. They also don't want you to have what you have. That's typically coveting, right? It involves not only getting what the other person has, but also depriving them because you want the very thing they have. You don't want something like it. That's a different thing. If I see you've got a, well, that's why I used the physical example, right? Okay, let's say I covered your voice, to use that again, or your dance. Like a dance may be an easier way to do that. Say, man, that's a nice way of dancing. Uh, if I'm not coveting, I just like it. And I say, man, I also want to have it. And I end up copying it, right? Or learning and going to the school and learning that type of dance, right? But coveting implies you want to also kind of take it away from them and give it to yourself, right? So coveting has that dualness to it of removing it from another and giving it to yourself. That's why coveting is a very negative thing. Yeah. 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 Coveting is a very separate thing, you know. But when I just see you've got something and I desire it to have it, well, wow, man, that's really cool. I'm going to make an effort to get it for myself. Not coveting. That's just being inspired by you. A very different thing, right? That's why coveting is like really, it's got that nastiness to it, which is like, wow, really? You don't just enjoy what I have and want it also? No, you want to actually take it away from me too. Yeah. It is exactly coveting is, and you could call it a conspiracy to theft that's unfulfilled. Yes. You know, like you can
Mm.
go to jail for attempted murder. Well, coveting is attempted theft. Exactly. Exactly. Even though you don't fulfill it, you have the plan, the plot, the intent, this conspiracy to do it. Exactly. So yeah, it is this a desire to steal without actually stealing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. It's horrible. It's really horrible. I don't think many people realize when they covet that they just, I want it, man. I want what they have. I want what they have. Now, why is this coming out? Why is coveting this way? Because of the superiority paradigm. When I see you with some quality that I value and regard as being valuable and awesome, in my mind, that makes you superior to me. Yes? You've got this nice voice, this nice dance, this nice car, whatever. Yeah. If I can take that away from you and put it into me, I not only pull you down, but I push me up. It is absolutely classic superiority paradigm strategy. Yes. Now, a lot of people will act on that and they will actually make the effort to remove what you have and to add it to them, push you down, push them up. This is why coveting is how it's come about. It's a mechanism for taking you up the hierarchy. It's terrible. It's terrible. But people do it because they are so ingrained and indoctrinated. You must be superior to everybody else. And when somebody's better than you, you must pull them down because you can't let people be better than you, at least those within your reach, right? That are close to you. If they're too far away, well, then it's out of reach. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, Norma. It
Yeah.
is appalling, but this is what we are taught. It's our entire culture. We're not taught it. Sometimes, yes, we are taught it very directly, right, in different ways, but not in this language that I'm using. When I use this language, it we see the appallingness of it. But think of when people, you must win. Winning is everything. It's win at all costs and never let anybody second sucks, blah, blah, blah. What's there? It's the same thing. Yeah. Don't let anybody get the better of you. Right? Make sure to keep them in their place, whatever. And all these words, keep them in their place, put them in their place. Yeah. I'll teach you a lesson, pulling them down. I look better by comparison. I don't actually make myself better when I pull somebody down. Right? Even winning doesn't necessarily make me better. It just makes me relative to you different. Doesn't actually improve me necessarily. So yes, it is absolutely thoroughly appalling. It's a horrible thing. But the key point is, when I am coveting, I'm saying to the universe, that universe, you are wrong. They shouldn't have it. I should have it. And that's where you get into trouble with coveting. Never mind the other horrible things with superiority paradigm. Yes, I mean, all right, you're in the system, everybody's doing it. Okay, you're doing the best you can. It's a terrible system. The key is not to try and do the best inside a bad system. The key is to not to be in the system in the first place, right? In other words, I don't want to be king of the jungle. I don't want to be in the lion system, because this is the lion system. This is completely lion logic. Yes. Even though, I have a name that means lion. I don't want to be any part of it. That's why I don't use it. I don't like it, right? Yeah. Exactly, Norma. They do it with everything. It's all about the power. Yeah. It's all about the power, because they believe they should have it. Yeah. And I want to go into the whole superiority paradigm outcomes about competition for scarcity of resources and all of this. Right? That's the root of the psychology. But I don't want to be the lion, is what I'm saying. So, I'd rather be an elephant. Lion, you have no consequence to me when I'm an elephant. Your whole system, hierarchy, it doesn't apply. That's it. I'm out of your system. Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing. Many things are outside that system. Doesn't have to be an elephant. It could be a bee too. A bee is also outside that system. Like, what have you got to do with me? Nothing. Lion, you can be all king of the jungle. You don't affect me. You don't touch me. And, you try and eat me and see what happens. All I'll do is just fly a little bit higher. And there you go. Lion will be looking down at you and say, oh, you poor fool, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, lions are all about aggression and dominance and superiority paradigm, if you look a little closely. Yeah. 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 That's my point here, Norma. They fight with each other. An individual lion, yes, but look at how they live relative to each other. When they kill something, they fight for the food. That's horrible. They don't share. They don't cooperate. They don't collaborate when it comes to it. No. Yeah. Oh, Ramsey! Hey, see there, my voice went away. Ramsey, 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 Ramsey. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good morning, Ramsey. I'm glad you're back. I'm
Good
glad you're back.
morning.
I'm glad you're back. Glad you're back. Hello, hello,
Yes, you were
Ramsey.
busy. Someone was busy celebrating birthday.
That's right. Happy birthday, Mr. Ramsey Najjar.
Yes, happy
Yes,
birthday.
yes, yes. And we will not sing happy birthday to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are pathetic singer, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's our birthday present, is to not sing it to you.
Yes, not
Yeah,
sing.
yeah, yeah, not singing. Yes, we missed you too,
Yes.
Ramsey. We were asking, and Norma said,
Oh, yes.
she said, well, it's Ramsey's birthday and Ramsey busy and all this. I said, yeah, it happens. That's the beauty of our situation here. You're not obliged to be here. You don't have to feel bad for not being here. It's as appropriate, always. And we trust, of course, that you weren't here for good reasons. We give that receptivity to motivation. Now we come to a key point, Beena. We take all of this together, right? I not only trust the universe, but I trust those I trust. I don't think I've ever said that combination before. Have I ever, Beena?
Yes,
I
never, never,
trust
never.
those I trust. Matter of fact, that,
Oh.
who said that? Who said that? It's a quote. Well, it just became a quote,
Oh.
right? Who am I going to attribute this quote to?
Arshla.
No, come on, it's short and sweet and condensed.
And then fine noble.
There you go. Yeah, when it's so short and potent. Yeah, I mean Ursula too could be, but I'm just gonna put it to FN this time. He likes these
Ramzi
short
says,
ones, you
thank
see.
you.
Thank you, thank
Ramzi
you.
says, thank you for not singing
Yes.
the birthday song. Thank you.
Oh, pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Yeah. And business and no
No, he
time
didn't
for
say. I'm
celebration.
just adding it up.
Yeah, yeah,
He's not
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I'm
You're
just
just
adding
adding it there. You're just adding there. And we missed you. Norma said she missed you. We all missed you. I just love that we
Oh,
missed
yeah.
you and that you're happy to be back. Yeah. And Norma's amused at our nonsense. Wonderful, wonderful, Ramsey. I'm assuming all is good. You had good business. Yes, Norma. Yes, you missed Ramsey, and you paid attention. You alerted us to it. So I assume you had a good birthday as well, and all the chicks are good, and everybody's
He
happy.
says, no, business busy. No, he says that.
Yeah, business, no time for celebration. But I'm assuming it's good. That's my point. Yeah, I trust that it's good. I trust that it's good. Yeah, I trust so. And if it isn't, then I trust there's some good in it not being good. Right?
Mm,
Different good.
yes.
I trust there's good if it's not good or wasn't good. Very key, very key. We were talking about receptivity and coveting and connecting coveting to not trusting the universe. We cannot go around saying the way things are is wrong. The way things aren't wrong. They're there to make me think, make me aware, make me learn, make me grow, and to make me do. So if I see your wonderful car or your wonderful voice and I want it, well, then go and make an effort to get it. You might learn a profound lesson. You may learn it's just not possible because, well, your vocal cords just haven't got that capability. And the lesson is from the universe. You need to learn to be accepting of some things and say some things I can and some things I can't. Sometimes that's a very difficult lesson for people to learn, to know your limits, in other words, right? Or to overcome what are believed to be limits. I might start off and say, my voice is all dreadful. I go, I train, I practice, I reshape my whole body and I got different tensions and blah, blah. Oh, suddenly I got a different voice. Wow. Okay. Right.
Oh,
Many
yes.
lessons to be learned from it. The key is if you stop coveting and you say, I want, I desire, I do, I'm going to get it. Application. When we shift it to application, add that motivation from wherever it comes to motivate us to do, then we start learning. Then we start learning. And we learn not through acquisition of information, but we learn through application of information. Yes? Got to put it into action.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, right? You're just acquiring data, filling up your hard drive. And what happens when your hard drive gets full? Yeah, literally.
Oh,
What happens to your
sluggish.
computer? Exactly. Your computer gets sluggish and slow. Why? Do you know why? Technically, exactly why, Beena?
No.
Because your computer needs space on the hard drive for its swap file, SWAP. Yeah. So the swap file, usually it takes about 10% of your hard drive. It's that area where it's saying, I'm going to put the stuff here temporarily. And as I'm working, I'm going to swap it out back and forth as appropriate. It's the like often used things. Like you could think of it of like, instead of having your clipboard, when you copy something new, it deletes the old thing. Your computer says that's kind of wasteful, right? Let me store those things because you're going to come back in 2 minutes time and you're going to copy that again. Let me store it in a file instead of having to go and research it and find it again. Oh, okay, you're going to need this again, and I pull it out, right? And then I put it back. That's what a swap file is. It's often used things that it pulls for convenience and quick. And that's why your computer gets slow. You think, but you know what? I've got space on my hard drive. I've like it's 10% left or 5%. Like, what's the problem? It's not actually full. You need that 10% for the swap file. Right? Now, ourselves, we're the same thing. We if we're too full with stuff, we get slow and sluggish, which is why we sleep actually, to kind of clear stuff out somewhat. Yeah. But we also need to say within us, I need to say, hey, you know what, enough. I need to make some space for openness. That's what openness is. It's that 10% for what I need to use on a daily basis. But then I also need to probably keep another 5 to 10% in case I come across something new and valuable. So you always want to have free space inside yourself, right? Don't get too full.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool stuff. Beena,
Yes.
Beena.
Yes.
Was there more we wanted to do on Ursula and Biela's discussion, or not particularly in terms of the capital R reading?
No, 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 not particularly. We did that.
All right. Because then we can continue where we left off with the me of when and more.
Yes, yes, yes. And before
All right.
doing that, you have something to respond to someone asking question and
Oh,
about just say it. That okay? Yes.
it is
No,
why?
no, no. It is on eBay.
Oh, I'll go look now. All right.
Yes.
All
Yes.
righty then. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Let me refresh here before we get started. Is it a question or is it the offer? Or
Message. Check in messages.
oh, it
It's an
is a
inquiry.
message. Yeah. All right. Very good. I like the two previous messages before that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is going to be like that too.
Yeah. Uh, all right. While I pull up that Beena, um,
Mhm.
um, just tell them to. Oh, okay. They can wait an hour.
Okay.
I actually may have this for them. All right. I'll just say,
Mm.
um, all right, just later. All right. There we go. I do have another one for the Mazda 3.
Yes.
I
This
do
is what I was
actually.
thinking.
It came in yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Very cool. All right. Sorry, technical stuff there, people. Sorry, business technical. I know this is mixing business and pleasure, but that's how we do. That's how we do. As appropriate, as appropriate. All right. So we're gonna go to the me of when and more. Now, I can't play the video unfortunately because they think there's copyright issues, and I appealed and they said no, it's okay. But still, I don't want to go through it because they blocked my account then, temporarily suspended. So they think I'm violating their standards. So I'm just going to read. But this is a poem. To put it into context, it's a long, extended poem of on this topic of the different selves. But as it gets deeper into it, this is the aspirant talking to Lemo, and they're just mechanisms for sharing the poem. But they get transported. They have a mystical experience essentially, and they go transported to like this Isle of the Dead, and then they get this portal on the Isle of the Dead, and it's all about like crossing from this world into another world. Now, when this other world is not necessarily the world of life after death, it's just a new alternative paradigm reality. However, in this portal, and it's the barrier between the worlds, there's this plane, this desolate plane. Now this is something that is part of a cosmology in the new world, like in well, at least in times like in Toltecs and that they had this idea. But not only them, but it's also, I think, something very particular to Don Juan and via Carlos Castaneda and his whole cosmology. He mentions this plane and the barrier between the worlds, and it's like these two energy barriers, and in between is this desolate wasteland, right? And to get through this, you essentially have to let go of all of your baggage and personal baggage and who you are and everything like
Mm.
this, right? And there's a lot of requirements to get through it, which I'm going to go into when we read the poem, and we're going to do capital R reading, right? So I want to set up where we at.
Yeah.
In other words, we're at the conceptuality of what is required for transition into moreness. That's the big overall abstract theme, right?
Yes.
Transitioning
Yes.
into moreness, not necessarily with death, with or without death, either way. Death just forces that, but we can do it without death too, right? So this is the whole point of this, not so. This is the whole point of it. All right, now we're halfway through the poem, and in the poem already, the aspirant, they tried a first time to go through this portal, but they took a few steps, and it was, they were so heavy and sluggish, they said, no, I got to go back. And then they speak to the assistant, and they say to the assistant, like, what's going on here, right? And they back again at this. We're in the middle of the poem. It's too long for us to read the whole thing now. And so we're in the middle. So I'm going to read a bit, and we're going to do capital R reading, and you just stop, right? And I wanted to share this because I think last time when I shared this, you weren't here for everything, right, Beena? When we did the capital R reading. So I was very keen to share this with you.
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So we are halfway through. All right. I'll just go right. I paused with all of self still there, as power joined, to carefully bind my inner core, the doorway having no door, no frame, nothing more than shimmer, reflecting through that wooded glimmer. Right? Now, setting the scene. Come, come, come claim your claim. Stepping to the portal bright I stepped, and in that moment of my step, I felt through a water not quite wet, an essence curtain pulling at my spirit, revealing I was no unshackled. No, not yet. All right, I'm not screen sharing. I'm screen sharing. Beena, you dissect this for me, please. Yes.
You
Yeah.
were breaking Syl, say it again. You were
Uh,
breaking. Yeah.
Right. You read and these two paragraphs, right? Well, actually, really, it's just the
Okay.
second one, but you might as well read the first, and then just to give you the frame, there's a bit of context there, and then this from stepping, do capital R reading, just what comes to you, what it means to you. Ramsey, Norma, you share too
Mm-hmm.
what comes to you guys, what you pick up from it, what it brings up in you, what it makes you think of, what it makes you wonder about, what you want to ask about it, etc. All right, we'll take our cueing from Beena here. Beena's going to illustrate.
Okay. Okay.
Illustrate, capital R reading, in other words.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
I paused with all of self still there, as power joined to carefully bind my inner core. The doorway having no door, no frame, nothing more than shimmer, reflecting through that wooded glimmer. Come, 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 claim your claim. Stepping to the portal bright, I stepped. And in that moment of my step, I felt through water, not quite wet. Wow.
Yes, a very cool line. It's a
Essence,
very cool line.
yes,
Yeah.
essence certain, pulling of my spirit,
Curtain.
revealing, yes, oh, okay, a curtain pulling at my spirit, revealing I was no shackled.
R-
No, not yet.
Yeah. Revealing I was no unshackled. No, not yet. The commas are critically important here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, what comes to you? What does this mean to you? Say it in ordinary language. I mean, it's kind of simple in a way, but this is the point of this, right? We're looking at this
Yes.
not only for the philosophical, spiritual learning applications, right? And doings, and having an idea of what we're about, and discerning and determining our own goals, but also to go into why capital reading makes a difference. I could say this in ordinary language, but at least why capital reading makes a difference, and using poetry is very handy, because we get to understand through capital reading why poetry is enjoyable, because we get to perceive the creativity and the artistry. Yes. And that's really fun to
Yes.
see. Yeah. And
Yes.
how you words we can connect to moreness via implication. When we can really read poetry, we're training our brains to see implications, to hear implications, to connect to implications, consequences, morenesses, connections. It's a very, very powerful skill to
Yes.
develop. So we're doing multiple things here.
Yes.
We're not only in it for the philosophical
Yes.
understanding, for the application part, but we're also in it for to be more aware of why capital R reading is so valuable, and very particularly in the case of poetry, right? Because when you first hear this, I'm like, what? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but go over it again and unravel it, please, Beena.
Yes. Okay. Uh, the first thing is about when you are when you I was reading this.
Mhm.
For me, it is a very beautiful and first time I actually read this, which really explained the dimension. That there is no doorway, but still it's a transition there. There is no
Exactly,
frame, but still you
exactly.
understand that the dimension, the real definition of dimension, right there for
Yeah,
me. It
interesting,
is really to understand
interesting.
that it is
Wow.
not something like, okay, yes, you are stepping out of something. There is no frame, there is nothing, but it's still
Hmm.
you know that your awareness is aware of that
Yeah,
something is happening. It is a
yeah,
transition, something is
yeah,
different. And this is so beautiful and so valuable for me that you can explain that what dimension actually is
yeah.
through this.
And a
There's
different
no frame.
dimension, an alternative
Yes,
dimension, right? Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And no frame, no door, nothing, but it's still you know that you step into
yeah,
something
yeah,
different than
yeah,
where you were before. So
yeah,
this is very
yeah.
very, very beautiful.
Right, right.
And
And
other
then,
thing that when
oh,
I
go ahead.
paused, sorry,
Yeah. Oh, no, no, keep going, keep going, keep going.
okay, I paused with all of self still there. That's
Ah,
very interesting.
isn't that a
That
cool
you,
line? Isn't that a cool
yes,
line? By implication, right? By implication, there's tons of implication involved. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'm just excited because I love this. I love that line, and I love that you appreciate that line. It's so
yes,
simple, but holy moly, does it say a lot? Yes?
yes. This is like kind of mm, multi-layered awareness. I
Yes,
will I have
exactly.
no other words right now to describe it because
Yeah,
when you are saying that, okay, I paused with all of self still there. That yes, you are aware that you are not there anymore, but still you are in taking a pause between all these things. So this is the
yes,
void, but the
yes,
void you choose to be before the
yes.
transition, before actually reaching somewhere.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the buffer zone. This is the void. This is
yeah.
the space. Actually, okay,
Right.
we can describe it in many ways. This is the space. This is the buffer zone. This is the void. But everything is chosen deliberately.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is this is the
And also,
pause we
oh, go
have.
ahead.
We have
Yeah.
when we walk. There is a very tiny moment when our both feet are in the air when we take a jump we know that it's for time we have nothing actually we lose the
Mm,
previous force which actually was leveraging to push us forward and we don't have the gravity to pull us down. That time in between is a pause right there for me, and this is what I feel when I was reading that. I paused with all of self is still there. It's a
mm.
multi-layered awareness.
Yes, but doesn't it imply that still means that the aspirant is looking to get rid of some self?
It could be, and it could be that
Well,
I am moving forward, and something is just still there, waiting for something.
yeah,
Maybe a
but
cueing that to
right,
come along. Maybe.
right, right. Well, in the context of the poem, the aspirant
Yes.
came to realize and be aware that the first time, this may be the first time, I'm not sure where we at in the poem, I lost a little bit of connection there. But the aspirant realizes
Mhm.
that in order to go through this portal and to cross the plane, they need to get rid of their self, little s self, right? Because the
Mm.
self is a baggage in that realm of spirit and energy. All that stuff that we call self is weight, yes, in the pure energy
Mm.
dimensions, you see. And that's why read on a
Mm.
little bit, and we're gonna
Yes.
see what they say, right? Keep going.
Yes.
I mean, not read the poem,
Okay.
read the highlighted part, right? The what you're going over,
Yes.
the
Yes.
paragraph, right, right.
Yes. As power joined to carefully bind my inner core.
Right? It's kind of a mystical thing there. It's saying, okay, power has come into it. Power being this magic of the universe, right? Moreness. We don't
Yes.
know exactly what to call it, but this is it. We'll just call it power, right? But power is
Mm.
joined. In other words, there's a moreness here. And power, because the power joins, it binds their inner core. Carefully bind their inner core. To say my inner core
Mm.
is now involved in a moreness here, I better pay attention, right? I'm being pressed. I'm being leveraged. I'm being asked by the universe. It's another way of saying that aspirant is responding to this as from via attunement. It's similar to a gift, except it's it's not something that's sort of given to you. It's a choice. It's an option. But when
Mm.
you choose to take on that and use what's being presented to you from the universe, internally, when power joins, it binds your inner core. Yes, it binds you to act sensibly, act appropriately, act with moreness, let go of your old stuff, right? Or at least it's going to help you to
Mm.
try and do that. Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I mean, when we in such situations, how is it when we notice power? How does our inner core not get bound in some way, right? And
Mm.
bound is what many to bind, it's like can be restricted, it can be as in held tight, right? It can be and is in the context of commitment, right? All of these apply, right?
Mm.
So it's a very multi-layered word. This is why capital R readings are so fun of poetry, because we get to see that
Okay.
in that one choice of the word bind, the implications are profound, very meaningful, very huge. It's a big deal, not a simple word. Yeah. This is what makes it poetic. Yeah.
Nothing
Well,
actually simple. If we insist
exactly,
on that it has some value and it makes sense, we can get
exactly,
value out of anything and
exactly,
everything.
exactly,
The other thing for
exactly.
me is when we say that I paused with all of self still there,
Yeah,
as power joined to carefully bind my inner core.
yeah,
Just like
yeah,
that, but it bind my inner core with the self still there.
yeah.
So now it's a completeness, it's a connectivity, and
Yes,
it is the connectedness between all the aspects of the self, which
yeah,
was there still, and the one who is already
exactly.
transitioned through.
Yes. Now look too. We go back a little bit here. I paused with all of self still there. First they pause, and that's little p pause, which is, oh, I'm a little uncertain. But then, right, they step up and now make it into a power pause. Now I'm
Yes.
pausing with all of myself still there. I'm using what I still have left in me in order to exercise my previous understandings of what is appropriate. And then that moment, as power joined, right? I'm pausing because power's joined to carefully bind my inner core. The doorway having no door, no frame, nothing more than shimmer, reflecting through that wooded glimmer. Now, this is the poetry part, setting the scene, right? Nothing more here other than you seeing some kind of energy out in the forest, right? In the wooded glimmer in the forest, and it was already known before we were in the forest, right? Just setting the, giving you a visual, right? Now we get to some moreness, right? Keep going, you read.
Okay.
I mean, keep going through it. Keep going through it is what I mean.
Yes. The
Did you
doorway
lose it?
having no
Oh.
door, no frame, nothing more than shimmer, reflecting through that wooded glimmer. Okay. This shimmer is again for me, because again, as Muslim, we have this understanding that Noor is something. It's an energy without source. It's a light without a source.
Wow.
And we say that we all have this. We all have this. Not we are entirely made of this, but we have part of it. We have part of the totality, the total, the entirety.
Yes.
So we have part of it. So somewhere inside in our heart, we have this shimmer, which is the particle or the part of that light, that energy without any source. This innate light, this innate energy, the ultimate one, the divine energy, which you can say. But even divine is a bit limited in this regard, that it has some source. We call it Noor. Noor is something that light without any source. And this
Energy,
understanding
pure
that
energy, in other words. Yeah.
yes, we all have that inside. And of course,
Wow.
again, according to the understanding from Islam, is that our hearts are the source of this, or the foundation of decision making. It is the foundation of, or it is the house where our true calling and understanding reside. Not in our mental thing, because mind is about the logical and rational thinking, and which is of course equally important. But when it comes to understand things going beyond the logic and reason, it is inside heart. Because they say that when it comes to especially change, it is not mental, it is always from heart, according to the understanding of Islam. This is what I'm saying. And right now I'm feeling that it is, this poem is describing what could be inside a heart, that shimmer, that wooded glimmer,
Wow.
this no frame, no
Wow.
door, and a dimension there. It is describing a heart for me, what heart can be.
Wow. What a magically beautiful extraction of moreness from that. Oh, wonderful, Beena. Wonderful.
Come, claim your claim. This is so
Three
beautiful.
comes.
Yes. Come, claim your claim. This, what can be so satisfying and so promising when someone invite you to claim your claim. Even
Exactly.
before you claim, they are declaring that it is yours. It is already there. Claim your claim.
It's an
So
acknowledgement.
satisfying.
It's an
So
acknowledgement that your
yes,
claim
so
is
promising.
appropriate.
And it is yours. It's already yours, no matter what you do,
Ownership.
except
Right.
God. It is yours already. You don't need to do anything. Okay, it is yours. Just be. That's it. This is so beautiful.
Right now,
Stepping through the portal.
sorry.
Yeah.
In this context, I will actually change it here. That second claim needs to be capital C claim, because this is the claim of your sentience, right? This is the claim of any sentient being, that you have this claim. It's inherent in being sentient. That this is the claim that is being pursued here, right? The claim of moreness. That's what that claim is. Right. So there's an extra
Yes.
layer to this claim. Yeah. There's a
Yes.
moreness that you can claim. Come claim it, but you got to come. That's why it's come claim your claim, right? It's an exhortation to actually step up and do this, right? By implication, right? Just that sentence already sets you up for the next thing when he says, come claim your claim, right? Even without the capital C, it says, step up now. This is your time to step up and claim your claim. Now, we have claims, but we don't actually claim those claims because we don't step up to do so, right? We're too timid, we're too, whatever, we're too afraid, scared, right? Now's the time. So put aside all that stuff, step up and look at the very next word, right? Or the next sentence. It emphasizes this. So read from come again, please, Beena, and then carry on from there.
Come, claim your claim.
Come,
Stepping
claim your
right.
claim. Yeah.
You can say it in your way. For me, it is not needed to say it like a command. It is just an invitation.
Yeah, but I mean the pause after the third claim, it kind of ruins the rhythm. But all right, doesn't matter. You read it your way. Go ahead, read it again, please.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Come, claim your claim. For me, it's an invitation. It's not a command.
It's an invitation, correct?
Stepping
Exactly.
Stepping to the porch of bride, I stepped, and in that moment of my step, I felt through a water not quite wet.
Yeah, pause it just there, right? We said, come claim your claim. That invitation, that exhortation, right? It's not a command. An exhortation is an invitation, but it's an invitation with energy, right? But then we said that to step up, and look at the very next sentence there, right? Or two lines. Stepping to the portal bright, I stepped. And in that moment of my stepping up, right? I can even make that step there a capital S step. Yes, I will do it actually, right? You see what I mean? It's this notion of stepping up as well. The extra meaning there.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting you a lot. Go ahead, Beena. Go ahead.
You are not, you are doing capital R reading of it. So not
I know, but even so.
Okay.
Right.
And in that moment of my step, I felt through a water not quite wet. In essence, current pulling at my spirit, revealing I was no unshackled. No, not yet. Okay.
Revealing.
In those moments.
Exactly.
What?
I'm saying revealing. That revealing, it's like an awareness for them. That's kind of a big deal there.
Yes.
Now, after that, in that moment of my step, I felt through. That could easily be heard as fell through. Yes.
Why?
Well, it's a portal. I fell through the portal like Alice falling through the right. See, I'm just saying, if you're not really paying attention and you don't hear felt, your mind might, I fell through. And because have you ever heard somebody say, I felt through? It's very uncommon usage, right? You say, I felt my way through. Yes, but to say I felt through, very unusual, but it's very, very precise and specific. As they go, they're feeling their way through. Also, they're feeling stuff that they never felt before as they go through, right? Because they're feeling the energy. And it's the best they can do is to say it's like water that's not wet, right? Like if it was a water curtain and you're moving through, right? That's kind of what it feels like, but I didn't get wet, right? So it's like, whatever, right? They're just doing the best they can. Yeah, makes sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It is a subconscious. Okay, water is also represent our subconscious, and
Exactly.
when you pass through that, uh, which is when we say that water is not wet,
Yeah.
not quite wet. It means that yes, it is subconscious, but there is
Right.
consciousness still
Right.
there, which makes more sense to me. That when we pass through certain dimension of awareness or layer of awareness, our subconscious become more conscious,
Exactly.
and then it's no longer that hidden dark master uh, ruling our thoughts and emotions anymore. Then it becomes more democratic system
Exactly.
there. So I can relate to, for me, my understanding is water not quite wet is something that yes, my subconscious, after stepping into this dimension, this layer of awareness, my subconscious is no more the cliche, the traditional or the conventional subconscious anymore. It is
Yeah.
more conscious now.
Wow. Exactly. And that's the story. That's exactly what's happening here in the story. Now, this next line. Well, keep going, keep going.
Yes. An essence curtain pulling at my spirit, revealing I was no unshackled. Nope, not yet.
An essence curtain, energy, raw, pure, core, pulling
Yes.
at my spirit. This is very
Yes.
important. The fact that that was pulling at the spirit says, there's something to pull on. Yes. Revealing.
Yes.
That's why I said that revealing. There's a pause there. It's a kind of emphasis. Revealing. I was no unshackled. In other words, I'm not an unshackled, right? Revealing, I was no unshackled. I'm not this category of person who's an unshackled. What would an unshackled mean in this context? We're going to find out. We don't quite know yet. But when we said a little earlier, it said with the self, right? With all myself still there. By implication, if we put the two together, I'm not unshackled from myself, little s self. Yeah. And it's saying, oh, going through this portal, the fact that it's still pulled at me a little bit means I'm not unshackled from myself. I'm still carrying some of this idea of self, which essentially belongs to the world I'm coming from, not to the world I'm going to.
Yes.
Yes. How cool is that? I love this paragraph. It's just too awesome for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Really reveals a lot because there's a philosophical implication. We work so hard at cultivating the self, but yeah, this point is saying, oh, but actually we need to do the opposite. Because it's capital U unshackled, yes, and in that momentous step,
Yes.
right? And spirit is little s spirit, right? It's little s spirit, not capital S spirit. Like spirit, my mood, my energy, my vibe, my what I think is me. But I think my me
Yes.
is the be all and end all of everything. No, it's not. Right? I need to learn to let go of self. That's where we're coming to. That's where we're coming to. All right, let me scroll up. Make you some coffee. Ramsey, would you like coffee or tea? Norma, coffee or tea? All right. I'll just make whatever I think is appropriate. Excuse me, dang it, sorry. All right, please read, Beena, please read. Beena? What happened? Where'd Beena go? I thought so. When Beena doesn't respond like that, then typically, or anybody, that typically just means they're about to drop off. She'll be back. I'll read, and then Beena can reread. I love hearing Beena read and do capital R readings, you know, her thoughts and perceptions. And I'd love it to hear from you guys too, if you're still with us. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's quite wonderful to hear somebody's inner feelings and thoughts and perceptions, and in this case, interpretations and understandings. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. All right. Stepping to the portal bright, I stepped, and in that moment of my step, I felt through a water not quite wet, an essence curtain pulling at my spirit, revealing I was no unshackled, no, not yet. Not one to flinch from press, I pressed further into that wasteland yond, a nothingness filled with weight, each step heavy, heavier to heavier with each stress. Never one to flog the self with futile quest, I stepped my mind through coming hate. Rejecting, I returned, realizing I need improve my best. Questions now I had. Why so heavy? Why so thick? Why so slow? Wherein lay my crossing trick? Wow. There's a lot here. Come back, Beena. Ramsey and Norma, are you still with us? Have we put you to sleep? Some people aren't into poetry, but I feel they're not into poetry because they don't quite know how to connect and relate to poetry. So they miss a lot, unfortunately, because it does take a little bit of effort to get there. And you know, like we're doing now, you have to learn to read and listen and hear and unpack, and not every say, well, can't I just say it straight? Yeah, you can, but then you lose the beauty, you lose the artistry, you lose that moreness, you lose that connectivity, that layering, right? You lose that connectivity to the ineffable. This is what really good poetry is. It connects us to the ineffable. And the ineffable, by definition, is unexpressible, at least directly. We can refer to it, we can hint to it, we can connect someone to it, and make you touch it, but you can't describe it. And that's a very cool thing. So poetry gets us into that space of the ineffable. So I'm keen to know if you guys are still here. Ramsey, Norma? I'm not seeing any comments. I wonder if my window is frozen. I'm going to update it and see. Refresh it, in other words. No comments. Yeah, I'm keen to know if you guys are here. I'm keen to know. All right, I'll keep reading until Beena comes back, but I'll do a little bit of capital R reading too. Not one to flinch from press, and I was not one to shirk my responsibilities. And I'm being pressed, and this is, you know, really, I should make that capital P2 because this is coming from the universe. Yes, but it can also mean in an ordinary sense. When you're being asked to do something, they're not a quitter, in other words, or they're not irresponsible. They're diligent, they're scrupulous, they do when asked. Right? I pressed further into that wasteland yond, the wasteland on the other side of the portal. Now, it's saying it like you already know it's there, but that's the magic of poetry. It gets you to just build a vision in your mind, a view in your mind, or good writing. without having to say, oh, you know what, there was this portal and then there was a wasteland on the other side, right? It just, you got to put it together for yourself. That's like assumed and, oh, all right, I get it. And I put it together. A nothingness further into that wasteland beyond, a nothingness filled with weight. Now, it doesn't say yet filled with weight. A nothingness filled with weight. How can that be? That doesn't make any sense, but it's poetry. So we know when things contradict like this, we have to pay attention. It's deliberate, right? Each step heavy, heavy, heavier to heavier with each stress. If you're already feeling heavy, each step is a stress, right? Of course, stress rhymes with press. No, but this is the thing. So with each effort, each grind, right? The stress made the steps heavier, right? It's a very, very nuanced, very layered point here. Not just stress as in each actual physical step, but in the action of, okay, I feel heavy, and now I continue to do this. That's kind of a stress. If I'm already feeling weighted down and heavy in this environment, and I continue going further, wow. It's also implying the fact that I am stressing it is making it heavier. Yeah. Double, triple layered meaning to the word stress there. This is what poetry is all about, these multiple meanings. It's just cool. It's just cool how you can fit in all that too. It's just fun. It's enjoyable, right? Never one to flog the self with futile quests. Right? Many people flog themselves with futile quests. They start, excuse me, they start doing something and they see it's futile. And then they keep going. I've got to finish. And they flog themselves, right? Like almost back in the day, sometimes they did it literally. No, just because it's futile and you see started, I mustn't quit. I can't be a quitter. It's futile. It's futile. Stop flogging yourself, right? Understand when it's futile that you're wasting your time and your energy. And in this case, it's every step is telling you even more that it's going so, right? Right. So they can see the pattern coming, in other words, right? They can extrapolate, see the pattern. I say, no, never one. They have already learned this lesson, in other words. She didn't say not one, never one, right? She's learned it. It's not inclination naturally. She had to learn it. So never one to flog the self with futile quest. I stepped my mind through coming hate. I stepped my mind, extrapolate. Right? I stepped forward and I saw, oh, coming hate. If I keep going here, right, I'm already feeling really horrible. This is really not fun, onerous, stressful. Yeah. If I keep doing this and it gets more stressful and then more stressful again and then more stressful again, man, I'm going to hate this very soon. Right. So stepping my mind through coming hate, extrapolating, going through the steps coming. Yes. Coming hate, it's again that implication that it is hate coming. Yeah, we don't know, but it's by implication so, right? Rejecting, I don't want to have this nonsense, this stress, this hate coming. I returned, realizing I need improve my best. That little sentence there, I need improve my best. We say, but isn't your best your best? You can't improve your best. No nonsense. Of course you can improve your best. Of course you can improve your best. And how do you do this? By learning. Yeah. All right. So let's say take any more very mundane physical thing. All right. My best that I can jump, high jump is, I don't know, 4 feet high or something. Right? So, wow, I can do better than that. I better learn how. Okay, instead of trying to leap over it, I do the Fosbury flop. I go over backwards. Oh, wow. That means I can go up to 6 feet now. Wow, I just radically improved my best by just changing my technique. Yeah. Many ways to improve our best. To me, I hear this all the time. I say, always do your best. To me, I always try and do better than my best, which means always learn. Don't assume your best is the ceiling. If you do, you're going to stagnate. Yeah, our best is never our best. It's our current best. That's it. Very big difference. Don't assume your best is an absolute. Assume it's a temporary. And that way, you always look to improve, right? Very, very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful understanding. Huge, actually. Huge, huge point, right? Realizing I need improve my best. Questions now I had. Why so heavy? Why so thick? Why so slow? Wherein lay my crossing trick? What do I need to do to cross this? What do I need to do to not feel heavy, not feel thick, not be slow? Yeah. Wherein lay my crossing trick? What do I need to do? What do I have to learn here? How do I improve my best? Ramsey, Norma, what happened to you guys? I wonder, I'm wondering if the live didn't drop or something. Let me see. You know what I mean? Oh, it seems to be there. Is it, am I not seeing your comments somehow? Let me see. Let me see. Oh, it's not the live. I'm thinking I'm not live somehow. Yeah, let's go over part 3. Let's go over part 5. Ah, here we go. Oh, it does say live. I am live. All right. I guess you guys just abandon us. No, I shouldn't say abandon. I'm just teasing you. You had other more impressing and important and appropriate things to do. I trust your intent. I just that, I like when you're here, of course. But no, all good, all good, all good. I'm keen to hear, if you are still here, just keen to hear from you. If you have any thoughts or ideas or feelings on this, any perceptions. It just seemed odd to me that you were commenting and then suddenly nothing. So I was a little concerned that something happened. Yeah. But no, it seems all good. Yeah. 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 All right. Brilliant. 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 Needing more. Instinct turned me from that door to find sharply in my space the assistant now come ashore. And if we go back into the earlier part of the poem, it starts with them having this, they like a spiritual experience, like a vision, right? And the video starts with their world collapsing, very literally. The building that they're in, it falls. It's like on the water and crash into the water, and then the next thing they on this little rowboat and going towards the island, at least watching themselves, them, a coffin, and somebody rowing, right? And there they say, well, it's me and my me of then in the coffin, right? The past me, and a third, an assistant, yes? And now the assistant, who was the rower, has come ashore, right? So, and in the video, it's like well, you don't see the person, you just see them. And suddenly there's this assistant right there, and they're actually in a wedding dress, right? The image in the video, and I chose it specifically because there's a little bit of fun here, a little bit of kind of poetry nerdiness, right? So now this assistant now come ashore, the one who was rowing, right? Sharply in their face, like right there. Just for the rhyme of it, there's no particular need for that. Ha, mariner. They were the ones doing the rowing on the rowboat. To call them a mariner is a little bit of a stretch, right? But it's fun, right? But it's capital M, mariner. And when you a mariner, little m, you on a boat literally doing this. But if you're a capital M mariner, by implication, you are you journeying through life. You're on some path and journey, right? When you're a mariner, you know where you're going rather than an adventurer, right? A mariner plots by the stars and the oceans and the current. They have some clue as to where things are going, right? But I say, ha, mariner, not so ancient. Now, there is in a similar style of poetry, I don't know what this is called. I try not to pay attention to that stuff, but I just call it sort of epic story poems. It's a very famous poem called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Yeah. And this Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the setting is this couple, they're going to a wedding, right? And as they go to the wedding, sitting there at the just at the entrance to the wedding is this ancient mariner. And as they go by, the mariner grabs a hold of them, right? And starts telling them the story. And they're like, hey, let me go. I want to go to the wedding. But he holds on and he tells them the story, right? He tells them this big story. And there's a lot into it, right? And it's a story about him on the ship with the albatross and all the stuff. And it's where the expression an albatross around your neck, it comes from that poem. Yeah. Anyway, a lot to that poem. Very, very cool poem. But so I'm having a bit of fun here, right? Because the assistant, even though it's a woman in the video, doesn't matter in the poem, right? It's just this, we're going to the Isle of the Dead. If you know the painting, you know the picture, you know there's the rowboat, and I said, ha, mariner, right? Not so ancient, because, well, we're saying you're not quite young, but okay, I'm sort of teasing you a little bit. And also it's a reference to that poem, and the one saying it is actually telling the story now, not the mariner. It's a little bit of turn up, right? Ha, mariner, not so ancient, I did greet. Come you to share, capital S, share your story. Now it's asking, are you now going to do what the ancient mariner did, right? And share your story. Or is that my fate to meet? The story of the ancient mariner was very much, or is very much, about fate and meeting your fate and bringing on fate and changing your fate. And it's a very big deal, right? So it says, are you going to share the story, or is my story a fate I had to meet? There's like so many layers and ways of interpreting that there. It's very cool. Yeah, you can see it in many different ways. Right. Although what wedding is unknown, right? It's just this fun to say, because I had that video that shows this in the wedding dress. It just happened to be, I kind of built it in and said, all right, you know, you're a mariner, you're telling your story, but hey, where's the wedding? Even if you don't see the video, and like, you know, all right, never mind, you know, perhaps not fitting. Thus, please enlighten, I do entreat. So the aspirant here, who's the one telling the story, says, well, okay, you're a mariner, all right, you know, you're not so ancient, okay, cool, but come you to share a story? I don't know. Is there a wedding? No, all right, it's not, perhaps it doesn't apply, it's not fitting, all right, but therefore, please enlighten me, I do entreat, yeah? And just this is poetry. It says simple stuff in kind of creative, fun ways. Yes, makes it fun. Makes it fun. Beena, where are you? Where are you, Beena? Yeah, see, I think Beena's obviously not online anymore. Yeah, you see. If we pull her up, see, no green. There we go. Nope, nothing. All right, Beena. We'll just hope you come back soon. I'll just continue anyway. Right. Thus, please enlighten, I do entreat. That one, capital O1, the assistant has kind of got it together, in other words. Yeah. I did feel some part my greater whole. Yeah. Now, some part of, obviously, but the of is left out because of cadence and rhythm, meter, yes, to keep the rhyming scheme going, right? And the feel of the mood. The way this is written, it gives you a feel of out of time. If you notice that all the sentences have each line as a double emphasis, yes, heavier to heavier, first part with each stretch, not one to flog the self with futile quest. I stepped my mind through coming hate. You see, it's got a break in the middle. There's not a comma there. But that break is to keep the rhythm of the poetry side of it, right? That one, I did feel some part my greater whole. See, I did feel some part my greater whole. Now shared what was to be her fitting role. It gives that cadence, that rhythm, right? Now she says, right, what her a fitting role, what's appropriate, right? I bring you knowing you could not know, as you have come before your due. You see, I'm emphasizing that break of the rhythm a little bit. You can't read it like a regular sentence. This is part of capital R reading. When you are reading poetry, you have to tune into the rhythm and the cadence of the poet. Generally, they will put commas and things there, but really, it's not a comma there. I bring you knowing you could not know. It's too long for a comma. It's like a half, it's more like a 3/4 comma, or even almost 90%, right? But it's not quite a full comma, right? Because if it was a comma, I bring you knowing you could not know. It changes the meaning. I bring you knowing you could not know, as you have come before your due. It's more emphasis than pause, but there's a little bit of pause and emphasis, right? Now I say, wow, I'm bringing you information you weren't aware of, as you have come before your time to come. Your due here is typically death by implication, right? So you're ahead of the game here. Wow, wow. And this is the results of earnest learning, connecting greater flow. What is the aspirant? The aspirant is one that is connected to learning. They are an aspirant to know more. They aspire to be more, to know more, to go past, and to connect to greater flow. Part of being an aspirant is to understand attunement. So they are here ahead of time because they've been making these earnest learning efforts, right, to connect to greater flow. And this has resulted in them being in this portal and crossing into the next world, or the other world, not necessarily next, before time, right? And such as you are sadly uncommon few. Just a comment that there's not many who make this effort to learn more than what we kind of need to learn, to push the boundaries of learning, right? And not many, it's uncommon few. And the aspirant is an aspirant on Nobelia, obviously. A whole of Nobelia, this is their society, right? But nonetheless, within the greater agglomeration, they're a small percentage, right? The journey now before you few do make, not with clear knowing, nor awareness of what's at stake. Not while open-eyed and wide awake. Yeah. So by implication, again, this is a journey people make when they either in a dream or under some stress, hallucination, drugs, whatever, or death, obviously, right? So it's a journey few do make, not with clear knowing nor awareness of what's at stake. In other words, too, it's saying this isn't an inevitability. Right? You may die and not make this journey, right? The journey now before you few to make, not with clear knowing, no awareness what's at stake. Some do try and make it, but they have no clue what's going on. And certainly they don't do it while open-eyed and while awake. They may do it after death or may not. It's very open here. It's not saying, this is not a guarantee in any way, right? The crossing of that desolate plain, held in by thresholds of residual pain. That the crossing is held by the thresholds, the boundaries of residual pain. Baggage, in other words. Yeah? Yield resistance in direct compare to that which we've yet to bear. Is a proportional relationship between this holding down this weight and by the thresholds, the boundaries, right, of the pain that still resides within you. So in other words, the baggage that you're holding is determining the weight and the stress of crossing that, yet the resistance, in other words. And it's a resistance to that which we've yet to bear. In other words, it's unresolved pain. You haven't borne it yet. It's unresolved. It's sitting in there. You haven't faced it. You haven't dealt with it. This is what baggage is. Baggage is, right, that which we've yet to bear. You need to bear it, right? You need to take it on. You need to take it on. It's bear, B-E-A-R, not bear as in open up, but it could be both ways, right? It's a play on the words there for the ear, right? It's bear or bear, right? Either way. To make requirements clearly clear. Look you on these 3 trees so dear. What reveals regarding lingering fear? Now the assistant is telling the aspirant, all right, to really understand the requirements of what you need. This is when your intent, your query there, right? Wherein lay my crossing trick, right? Now look carefully at the trees here that are now these 3 trees so dear. They came earlier in the poem, right? Basically an old tree, a young tree, and a tree of now, right? Look you on these 3 trees so dear. What reveals regarding lingering fear? What does those trees tell you about lingering fear? This is the whole point. Residual pain, lingering fear, right? Same, all stuff that needs to be dealt with. Unresolved issues, in other words. The aspirant now stopped in all they did think past done. First of all, they stopped. In all they did think past done. To say, oh, I thought I dealt with the stuff. But now I'm have to rethink it again. Peered deep to unseal those 3 trees of more. Now they got to look at those 3 trees as an abstract, as metaphoric, as symbolic, have more, and to unlock that, unseal what's coming. One aged, one potent, one budding with as yet. Aged, past 3, one potent now, right? And one budding with as yet future. Yeah. All obvious as to their core. A 3, but now revealed as whole and healing one. Wow. Wow. Each individual part is obvious. You've got the past, the present, the future, but now revealed as a whole and healing one. To say, wait a second, your 3 selves aren't 3 separate things. They are a one, capital O1. They are integrated. This shifts it. You're not separate. Your past, your present, your future. They aren't separate. They one. They're one. And when you understand they one, it's a whole and healing one. The awareness that all of you is one is healing and fixes you. It makes you a whole, not a split. Right? Very nice sentence there. Very nice line. Very cool. Very poetic. Limo, do hear me. Because the poem is Limo talking, and the aspirant talking to Limo, sharing the story, right? So Limo is just the ear here for the story. Limo, do hear me, as here I did remember learnings done, balance gained and battles won. I remembered, Limo, I did, applied to that copse of 3. I shirked not from deep truths may be hid. What had I learned, Limo? The assistant now bid me know. I pulled from within my fortress strong. Shift, release, let go, be strong. This is what they are getting from the assistant. And this is what the assistant had them know, right? Bid them to know. This is what the assistant said. This is what you need to do, right? And asked them to do in us, bid, right? To pull from inside themselves and to shift, to release, to let go, to be less. The assistant, right? What had I learned, Limo? The assistant now bid me know. Right, so the assistant telling me what I needed to learn. I pulled from within my fortress strong. I went in deep. Shift, release, let go, be less. They are asked, they are being asked by the situation, the circumstance, the portal, to be less. Wow. I did ease. My breath's now long. But wait, a look to assistant's eye. I paused, queried, waiting for the why. Why do I want to be less? To unbind from that unneeded is but the early task. There's more. More. You are now asked. I like the poetry of this, so cool. To cross that lonesome, fearful plain, required you lose all, not only obvious pain, all that causes life's perpetual drain. No. If only these had been for those few ventured steps, you'd now be truly dead, sent back to redo and learn again, to perchance learn what's never learned. Life after life of effort's vain. I'm going to end the live here because this is a paragraph we'll pick up next Friday. We're going a little bit off script on the Fridays because Fridays are open Fridays, and well, they've always been with me, and we just kind of do different things. Yes, so this is very cool. We like open Fridays. We have fun with it. Yeah, it's very cool. Come on. All right. So I'm going to end there. If Ramsey or Norma, if you're still here, any questions? Oh, such a pity we're missing Beena. Oh, well. And you guys, and Ramsey and Norma, I think I have a suspicion that I may be doing this. It says live and all that, but I may be doing it in a complete bubble. And I've dropped relative to all of you, but in my little bubble world, I think you've all dropped. But meanwhile, you and Beena and Ramsey are still going on there somewhere. Oh, Norma's here. Oh, my pleasure, Norma. Absolutely my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. I really love this poem. And the reason I came back to it is because overnight, like while I was sleeping, and snippets of the poem came to me, and I'm like, wow, it's sticking with me. It's sticking with me. And I've read this poem many times, both just, and often I'll play the video and just listen to it. So it's just joyful to me. It just gives me a great, wonderful feeling. I really love this poem. Yeah, it's just really cool, really cool. All right, I hope you enjoy as well, Norma. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, Norma, you there? You enjoyed or not? Tell me if you think, nah, it's rubbish, so I'm not into it. You're more than welcome. I won't take offense. It's poetry is very individual. As much as I love poetry, there are few individual poems that I like. Very, very preciously few. Very preciously few. Yeah. All right. Wonderful. Bye, Norma. I'll talk to you later, and we'll see everybody on Sunday for part 2 of part 1. Because we only got halfway through the first half of the current chapter. Oh, it is very giving. Thank you. That's a very profound way of saying it. Yes, it was very giving. Wow, exceedingly insightful and very poetic too. Wow, Norma. Wow. That's really wow. Really cool. Very, very cool comment there. Again, that's exactly like the poem was written. A lot of nuance, a lot of implications to it, a lot of moreness to it, a lot of insight and discernment added to that. Wow, most impressive, Beena. I mean, Norma, most impressive, Norma. Oh. Suddenly, sharply in my face. Ha, mariner, not so ancient. Hello, Beena. Please say. I'm just ending and saying hello. I'm glad you're here.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, beautiful Beena. Hello,
Okay.
hello, hello.
Yes, so my network dropped, and after that, when I turned it on again, it was an update Windows, which
Oh,
happened yesterday, but they just forced me to
yeah,
do it, accept it again,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it was
yeah.
restarting and all that.
In your settings, you can go to update and say, when I want to, don't automatically do it. Prompt me, ask me, remind me, and then it'll tell you you have an update, you have an
Yes,
update, and it'll
yesterday
keep
they
asking
asked
you.
me, and I
Oh,
schedule it.
oh.
Yes, yesterday was the scheduled one. It was
So
already done.
schedule it for going in the night. I got you. It's all
Okay.
good. Updates are good
Um,
to do. Updates are good to do. Yeah, you're good to do.
but
All right.
it's a consecutive 2-day update.
Yeah,
Yesterday it happened on a
yeah,
scheduled time,
yeah,
and this one came like, okay,
yeah,
it needs to be updated.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
thank you, Syl, for sharing that
Yeah.
poem
Well,
with
I
us.
think
And
before we go, we'll take a little extra time, and without doing
okay,
capital R reading, let's see, where did we get to? We got to yeah, Life After Life of Efforts Fame. Part two of part one, Grin. Yes. We need an index. Yes. Oh, a pleasure, Norma. Yes, yes. All right. But I want you to go and just read it. Right. We were here. I was no unshackled, not yet, right? To read from not one to flinch to where I highlighted there. I'll share a screen share in a moment. Just for the purposes of completion and you being catching up, right? So just read this without capital R reading, unless something really grabs you, then pause. But just read these next couple of still where I highlighted it there, right? Please, Beena. From not one to flinch.
you didn't highlight anything, so
No, you read to the highlight. It's lower down. See?
okay.
And I'm just saying that's to know where to stop. I just wanted to read these, right? Just so that's what I was reading while you were away and doing the capital R reading on it. But I'm keen to hear it from you. Just it's a joy to hear you read it. You know.
It just keep moving. I don't know, like how to read.
Oh, it'll come. It'll come. I've stopped. It's just the lag that's making it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not one to bench from press. I pressed further into that wasteland yawn. What it means, yawn?
Beyond.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But it's older language,
Curiosity.
right? Like yonder. You know.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
yes.
just poetry.
I pressed
Just
further that wasteland yawn. A nothingness filled with weight. Each step heavy, heavy, heavier to heavier with each stress. Never want to sound with good eye first. I step my
sorry.
mind
I
through
can't really
coming.
hear you reading, Beena. It's like you're reading to yourself. But I mean, read it like to me. I want to hear you read it. Right? You understand what I mean? I want to hear the poem.
Okay.
Well, start again. Start again and read it like you're reading the poem for a video or something. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Well, as best you can. As best you
Okay,
can.
let me try.
Yeah. Well, just read it to me. I'm just keen to hear it from you. I like hearing you read. It's a
No,
treat
not
for me.
yet. Not one to flinch from press. I pressed further into that wasteland yawn, and nothingness filled with weight. Each step heavy, heavy, heavier to heavier with each stress. Never one to flog the self with fertile twist. I stepped my mind through coming hate, wow,
Mm.
rejecting, and realizing I need improve my best. Questions now I had. Why so heavy?
Why so thick? So slow? Wherein lay my crossing trick? Needing more? Wherein lay my crossing trick? Mm. Needing more, instinct turned me from that door, to find sharply in my space the assistant. Now come show. Ha, here, not so ancient. I did greet. Come you to share your story, or is that my fate to meet? Although what wedding is unknown, perhaps not fitting. Thus please enlighten, I do entreat. That one, I did feel some part, my greater hope, now shared, what was to be her fitting role. Wow, that one
That
I did
one.
feel some, yes, I did feel some part, my greater whole, now shared, what was to be her fitting role. I bring you knowing you could not know, as you have come before you do, your due. Ah, I bring you knowing you could not know, as you have come before your due. Results of earnest learning, connecting greater flow. And such as you are sadly uncommon few. The journey now before you to me, not with clear knowing or awareness of what's at stake, and not while open-eyed and wide awake. The crossing of that is a word here, desolate.
Yeah, desolate. Desolate plain, yeah.
The crossing of that desolate plain, held in by thresholds of residual pain, yield resistance in direct compare to that which we have yet to bear, to make requirements clearly clear. Look you on these three trees so dear. What reveals regarding lingering fear? Oh, look you on these three trees so dear. What reveals regarding lingering fear? The aspirant now stopped in all they did think past time.
As a poetry, this is so much more to enjoy.
Ah, please share. I'll scroll in a moment. I'm just making
Oh,
us some coffee.
no, I just want to hold on it, and then
Okay.
maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
But
Okay.
something so
Well,
good.
let me
Uh,
just scroll. Let me just scroll so you can read to the end part there, and then we do more tomorrow. Where were you? What reveals regarding lingering fear? Okay, there we go. All right. There. Okay, keep going from where you were. Keep going. Please.
Press deep to unseal those three trees of more. One aged, one potent, one budding with a sweat, all obvious as to their core. A three, but now revealed as whole and healing one. Lemon, do hear me, as here I did remember learning done, balance gained and battles won. I remembered Limo, I did, applied to that corpse of three. I shrinked not from deep truths, maybe did. What had I learned, Limo? The system now bid me know. I pull from within my fortress strong. Shift, release, let go, be less. I did ease, my bricks now knock. But wait, a look of assistance. I paused, quit, waiting for this ride to unwind from that unneeded, desperately task. There's more, more you are now asked.
More,
Cross.
you are now. I love that. There's more, you are now. What's that?
Why'd you lose all? Not only obvious pain, all that which causes life's perpetual pain. No, no, only these had been for those few ventured steps. Would now be truly dead, sent back to redo, and then again. To perchance learn what's never learned, life after life of efforts wait.
This last paragraph has so much in it, and so much from a philosophical point of view, from a monist point of view, and a worldview as well, understanding of how life works. Tons of it. So we'll get into that and unshackle it and unravel it and unbind it. I just wanted to read it. So share, what were you enjoying earlier, Beena, or what you're enjoying now?
Very poetic poetry, I must say.
I think so. I think so. You know, it's important as a writer. Yes, which one of the things that I feel I am. I never thought to say that ever, even though at some point I aspired to be it. Even when I started writing really seriously, I didn't regard myself as a writing. But after going over some of these poems, I feel this is a real poem. Objectively, without ego, I feel, because of all of the stuff that you're enjoying. And I appreciate it as externally, like if I'm reading anybody's poem, I don't appreciate it because it's I wrote it. No, I appreciate it for what it is. It has its own life and thing, but there's so much moreness and poetry in it. I absolutely love this, right? It's just really cool, the poetry in here. And then, you know, the cadence and the rhythm and all of that, you know, to get, when you get into it, it's hard when you're reading it for the first time, right? But when you get into it, but I'll read this last one again, because it's so much more in terms of philosophy. To unbind from that unneeded. Wow, that's the early task, is but the early task. There's more. You are now asked. Right? You see, the cadence is to get the rhyme to match, you see? Yeah, if I read it the other way, then the rhyme doesn't quite catch itself. To cross that lonesome.
There is
What's it?
something I
Well,
want
go
to
ahead.
say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, it is profound that you share with all the emphasis and cadence and
Yeah.
and of course all the nuance points here,
Right.
which is good, of course.
Yeah.
But when people or when anyone is
Mm.
reading something, they do read from their perspective.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I agree.
For the reading,
Yeah.
for the poetry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, everybody reads differently, and especially when it's a first time reading, it's very hard to catch that, and you have to read it a couple of times to catch some of the nuance of the cadence and the rhythm and stuff.
To catch all those things. Yes.
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Right. To unbind from that unneeded is but the early task. There's more. You are now asked to cross that lonesome, fearful plain. Required you lose all, not only obvious pain. All that which life causes, all that which causes life's perpetual drain. Wow, what a sentence. No. If only these had been for those few ventured steps, you'd now be truly dead, sent back to redo and learn again, to perchance learn what's never learned, life after life of effort's vain. Man, this is a very layered, very implicative thing here. Lots going on in this, but we'll get to it another time, right, Beena? So much here. It's a whole philosophy in here and understanding and Yeah, all sorts of stuff coming here. Yeah. How the world works and how this is particular to the situation. It's some probably might say, yeah, but that's kind of a lot to figure out if you don't know what's going on. Yeah, sometimes that is in the poems, but it will come more clear later on. But nonetheless, we'll come back to it, Beena. We'll come back to it. I want to just end there, right? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, see you guys, everyone. Of course, Ramsey and Norma and
Yes.
Eva. It's been, of course, Janet going to watch it. We will meet you guys on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the meantime, I'm going to read this poem again.
Oh, I'm in for a treat. I'm in for a treat. All right. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave and we come back because if you're going to read it again, and I want to be there when you read it again. So I'm going to leave and come back and just end this thing and come right back. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. See you on Sunday. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. End meeting for all.